Okay, so let's start today's class. Welcome everyone to the first lecture of the International Economics class. My name is Wansap and I'll be with you guys for the spring 2021 semester. Welcome back to the semester and maybe not to the campus. But I hope we can have a great semester. Even though we are having the classes online, please stay safe. And although this class is online, I hope that we could have some interactive discussion times or the opportunities. So throughout the semester, please feel free to contact me by email or on the discussion forums on the Manapa website. Okay, so in today's class, I will have the short introduction of the course and the syllabus, and I will also discuss about the evaluation criteria for this semester and the individual briefs that are one of the most important parts of this evaluation and this course. And then I will talk about the definition and of international economics and talk about what is the international economics that we are going to learn in this semester. And then third, I will talk about some topics of the international economics. And then next, we'll also go through some the concepts of international economics in reality and how we are facing these concepts of international economics in our everyday life. And lastly, I will give you some discussion topics, which will also be used for your individual briefs too. All right, so let's look at the course overview first. This class will closely cover the key concepts of the international economics and introduce you both theoretical discussions and practices. And you will learn how countries interact with each other during the international trades across the borders and also the dynamics of international economies and how the interactions change over time. My name is again One Sub and I am from South Korea. I'm living now in Japan, but I have my educational backgrounds in both South Korea and the US. Yeah, I studied economics and environmental economics and policy in UC Berkeley for my undergraduate studies. And then I came back to Korea to Seoul National University for my PhD in technology management. My research areas focus on the economic development and international trade. So if you are interested in any of these fields, international economics, how the countries trade and how the trade structures change, and how countries grow as an aftermath of these international trades, please feel free to contact me anytime. I'll be more than happy to keep in touch with you even during the semester and after the semester. Last year, I worked as a postdoctoral researcher at Hitotsubashi University in Kunitachi, which is really close to Chuo University. And but I moved to the University of Kitakyushu, which is pretty far from Tokyo from this semester. So I was actually looking forward to seeing you guys on campus from this month in the Tama campus of Chuo University. But I moved to the University of Kitakyushu, and as the Chuo University decided to have the classes off campus, I will try to teach you and manage this course through online this semester. But again, please feel free to contact me anytime by email or through any other ways because I'll be really looking forward to getting to know you guys. and probably work with you or answer your questions often. Okay. Um, so about this course, I believe that as a student, that you are most concerned with the evaluation methods. And the first part is the class participation. And when I was writing the syllabus, I thought we would have the class offline on campus, face to face, so that I ask you guys to have some group discussions too and ask lots of questions during the actual class time. But I believe that it is quite difficult in this online session. So I am thinking of probably two assignments for the quantitative exercises. And yeah, actually, international economics is, as a field of economics, is it is really important to learn the theories by applying the quantitative approaches. So I believe that they will be quite good exercises for you in learning this course, plus getting prepared for the final exam at the end of the semester. So I will try to give you some not too difficult assignments, and they will be included as the class participation grades. And the second one is the two individual briefs, and you can understand that as a short papers. And for the individual briefs, I will explain how to write those briefs in detail in the next slide. And there will be a final exam, which goes 40% of your total grade. And the final exam will mostly cover the explanations of the key concepts, but it will also include some mathematical applications on the questions that you will be facing during the assignments. So if you take all the lectures um, and if you do all the assignments and if you try to ask me questions about anything that is unclear during the semester, I will. I'm pretty sure that you will be getting good grades of this. Um, yeah, and due to the ongoing COVID-19, this course will not require the group works. I was really looking forward to ask you guys to have some group discussions plus the group presentations because I believe that that is a really good way not only to understand the concepts of international economics, but also to get exposed to the specific areas of international economics by sharing ideas, sharing recent news with your classmates. And, it is always a good thing to make more friends inside of the classes. But I believe that it will be pretty difficult to have the group works, and especially considering that this class will take place on Monday, 9 a.m. I think that it will not be the best idea to ask you guys to come to the classes 9 a.m. and get ready for the group discussion at 9 a.m. So I will not have require you guys to have the group works in this semester. But if you would like to interact with me, please feel free to contact me anytime via email. Yes. Okay, so let us move on to the guidelines to write individual briefs. The briefs should be very easy to understand, even to the audience without the background knowledge. These are the papers that require simple and concise writing without too much of the professional or technical terms. So they should be written easily and simply. But at the end, they should be suggesting policy or strategic options to help the decision makers to select among the alternatives. But of course, this is not a must because this is not a policy brief. If you, as long as you answer the questions, stick on to the given topics, that will be fine. So if you do not have specific policy suggestions, it is okay. But of course, if you can link the topics to the eventually to the policies or strategies, it will be really nice. It will be 12 points times New Roman, and I will give you the formats online through the Manaba website. So if you like to download the formats, yeah, you can use it. But if you, as long as you follow these styles, 12 points times New Roman, I believe it will be okay. And the references should be in APA style. And I ask you to have mm, as many references as possible, around 7 to 10. If you have more references, that's always welcome. If you have less than that, try to find some, because I think finding the references is a very good exercise for you to um, get exposed to the professional knowledge in this field. Uh, it should be around 1,000 and 1.5 thousand words. But if you have a little bit more than that, if you have a little bit less than that, that's okay. I'm not too strict about the length. I believe that the content is more important than the length itself. So if you have like 1,550 words, you do not have to shorten that. I think it'll be fine. The submission due dates are the 10th and 14th week of the semester, so that's like the second half of the semester. If you like to get ready for this earlier in the semester, you're always welcome to do so. If you would like to wait until the last minute, that's okay, as long as you submit these papers by the 10th and 14th week. But if you would like to move on early, and if you'd like to get some feedbacks from me beforehand, yeah, feel free to do so. I'll be more than happy to give you some comments before the deadline, and then probably you could have some time to improve your papers. For the references, please find the APA format guidelines available at Purdue OWL. If you search for the APA format, like Purdue on Google, I think the link will come out very fast. Yes, I think it's the first one that you'll get from the Google. Please read closely. They have the different formats for the like, academic papers, newspaper articles, or websites. So try to look for the examples and the information from this website. And the academic references are available through Google Scholar, yeah, scholar.google.com. If you search for certain keywords of international economics, you will find a bunch of information there. Probably you might not have the access because some of them are not free. But if you use the libraries link of Chuo University, I think they have the off-campus access. I'm not sure. But you could use the freely available papers, or if you really, really want to get access to the paid, not free articles, please try to search for the information through your library's website. I believe that they have some kind of routes for you to access to the to most of the journals. Yeah, and please feel free to use any other resources from the library. I believe that they have lots of books. If you sometimes go to the campus, yeah, the books are really good sources. But do not use the Wikipedia or other sources without the other author information. You can search lots of information by Googling, but most of them might come from the like blogs or Wikipedia or any other sources that may not be reliable. So I strongly encourage you guys to use the sources only from the verified persons that you could actually rely on. And here are the brief evaluation criteria. They are pretty similar with other papers, like general papers. So I'll check whether you have the proper introduction or background to the topic, and whether you identify the issue, and whether you could link with the theory, and whether you could actually suggest the policies, or whether you could have your own conclusion. So as I mentioned earlier, they necessarily do not have to be the actual policies, but as long as you have your own conclusion, or your own discussion, your own suggestion, your own opinion on that, it will be fine. So yeah, they are the evaluation criteria. For the textbooks, we will use Poon and Rigby's International Trade Basics as our main textbook. It's this book. Oops, let me see this, International Trade. I believe that you can buy the book from Amazon. It's, I believe, less expensive than the very thick, heavy textbooks. It's written very easily, simply. So I believe that it is a really good one. I highly encourage you guys to purchase this book, because this course will be follow the outline of this book. Also, the recommended textbook is by Krugman in the International Economics. I will use some examples from that textbook, but you don't necessarily have to buy it. If you have it, it's really good, because they have lots of examples, theories introduced in there. And but if you do not want to buy it, if you can read some chapters from the books in your library, I think it will be okay. All right, so here's the course overview. You can find this information on the syllabus too. Today, we are going to talk about what is international economics, and we are going to deal with some models like Ricardian or Heckscher-Ohlin models. And I believe that they will be where you are facing most of the quantitative approaches. And then we will go on to some more of the global issues like transnational corporations or global value chain. And then we also look at the institutional factors, geographical factors, and like how the trade structures change and how the trade happens in Asia in 10th class. And then we'll also deal with the policies. So I believe that each class you will get exposed to different various aspects of international economics. And they will closely follow this book again. So it's only like 15, 20 pages for each lesson. So I'll try to give you lots of examples, real world examples in relation to the theories discussed. So I hope that this course will not be too boring, but could be really give you lots of practical implications about international economics. Okay, so let us move to the actual class today. So it was a long introduction, right? What is international economics? So I was searching online, and I found a good definition suggested in the Encyclopedia of Social Measurement. So the authors say that international economics deals with issues arising from economic interaction among sovereign nations. So this is the important part. International economics is the economics of different countries, of course, right? But they include lots of keywords. They include fields such as international trade, international financial flows, international aid, and technical assistance for developing countries, international migration and exchange rates. So they include lots of keywords from other economics fields too. They have finance, they have labors, they have policies, they have technology, they have economic growth. But as long as those topics are dealing with international or cross country or um, multinational topics, we can consider that as an international economics. So it is pretty broad concept of economics. So I drew this diagram of the to explain the international economics. Well, if you have taken the course of economics, maybe you are familiar with the definition of economics. To remind you of the definition, economics is a study of decision-making process by the decision maker under the limited resources. So if you look at the subcategories of economics, you might have heard of the microeconomics or macroeconomics too, in addition to the international economics. How are they different? The microeconomics is dealing with the decision-making process of the individuals and firms. But the macroeconomics is talking about the decision-making processes of the country. So that's a higher level. And the international economics is its level is even higher. It's across the borders among the countries. So it's the decision-making processes among the countries. So although their principles are very similar with each other, especially when we are trying to calculate the decision-making processes, um, the decision makers are different in the each fields of micro, macro, and international economics. And the theories, as I just mentioned, of international economics are based on the same economic fundamentals with other economic fields, especially as the motivations and behaviors seen in domestic transactions are the same in the international transactions. So the principle is the same. For example, if you produce an automobile in Nagoya and sell it at Tokyo, that's like a producer and a buyer process, and how the decision-making processes of producing a good and purchasing a good. And if you do the same thing enter and at an international level, you can produce an automobile in Nagoya and you can sell it at Los Angeles. So it is basically the same, buying and selling, and at certain price with a certain quantity. However, the difference between the domestic economics and the international economics comes from the difference between the exporting country and the importing country. What kind of differences are there? For example, they have different currencies. If you're producing a good in Nagoya and selling at Tokyo, um, you both use Japanese yen. However, if you like to sell it at Los Angeles, you have to sell the car and get the money in US dollars. And there's where the difference comes from. And the second example, the importer can put on a quota. That may be a new concept. But for example, if you like to limit the numbers of cars coming from imported from Japan, because you like to protect or grow uh, your automobile industry, then the importer may limit the number of cars coming from Japan. So that makes the difference from the free trade across countries. Also, another country might enter the market and produce the automobile cheaper. For example, if China produces more cars at a cheaper prices, then the US customers might want to purchase more cars from China. Then the Japanese car makers can think that, oh, should we produce the cars more efficiently so that we can sell our cars more cheaply? So there's where the competition starts. And at the international level, these kinds of international competition is one of the most important concepts. Um, so there are many, many things going around at different countries. So there are lots of topics to be covered when we are studying the international. So where did the international study of the international economics start from? So if we look back at the history, you might have uh, heard of this mercantilists. And what did they do? They argued that we should accumulate gold, which is the most valuable resource. That's like 300 years ago, I guess. And what they wanted to do was to make their countries richer, and what they argued was that the countries should import cheap goods and export expensive goods, because that's the way to accumulate gold, because the gold was the common currency at that time. If we would like to keep importing cheap goods and keep exporting expensive goods, um, it will not be the only thing for our country, but all the other countries would like to do the same thing. Then how can we import the cheap goods easily and export the expensive goods to them? The easiest way was to make the colonies. Um, so the colonizing countries will import the raw materials from the colonies and then sell the final products to the colonies. Um, so that was the old times when that was possible. But right now it is not possible, right? But this concept is not dead. Besides making the colonies, we still see some politicians claiming the mercantilists' arguments that the countries, their countries, should import the cheaper goods and try to export the more expensive goods to make their countries richer. Is this claim valid? Well, that is still on debate, I guess. But yeah, we'll discuss this concept a little bit later in today's class. After that, the most famous economist of all time, Adam Smith, wrote this book, The Wealth of Nations. And in this book, he argued that the countries have different capabilities or so-called the absolute advantages. As a result, countries can specialize in goods that they are good at producing. And if countries specialize, the countries can both, the importer and the exporter, can both benefit from trading. So this was a really, really new, different concept from the previous claim by the mercantilists. Um, because if we try to export the expensive goods and import the cheaper goods, then it is a winning game for us, but a losing game for them. So until that time, the international trade was considered partly considered as a win-lose game. So if we win, someone has to lose, right? But according to Adam Smith, if countries specialize in what they're doing good, it could be a win-win game. So through trading, both countries can have more amount of goods. So after this time, more studies followed to study the factors and results of the international trade and studied how the countries can benefit from international trade. And in the second and third lecture, studying the Ricardian theories and Heckscher-Ohlin models, we will go in depth about how these economists studied and argued on the factors and the results of the international trade. All right, so yeah, we will move on to the third part, some topics of international economics, and we will continue this part from the next video.